Looks like we have become closer.
Roll the dice, see the fate. Monsters lurking at the gate. Heroes rise in the night. Doctors wielding magic might. Doctors and dragons in the fray. Healing wounds, saving the day. Epic quest, dangerous call. Stand as one, we won't fall.
That wasn't me. That was Chris.
I was going to say that wasn't me.
Yeah, no, that's Chris has been working on that for a little bit, and it's much more metal than the version that I put forward, and I quite like it.
That was amazing. Not what I expected at all, but I loved it. Cool. All right. After a short hiatus, we are back with episode 4. I can still count. Not sure how many more episodes I'm going to be able to do that for. But let's have a quick recap to start with. We obviously still had Hobbs aboard the ship Carrick McCarrickface last time. And Thorne, Echofire, and Erowyn looted the bodies of the now properly dead zombie sailors and set off warily up the cliff path towards Dragon's Rest. Erowyn did summon a feathered friend to aid in your recce, although I think the main impact of that appeared to just be bird poo and a dragon statue. Now, you met the main inhabitants of Dragon's Rest, a cacophony of curious kobolds, a couple of other humans, and the elder of the temple, Renara. Echofire seemed to be pleasantly surprised to discover that the temple here was to Bahamut, your own deity. And all three of you did decide that it seemed the right place to pass the night. The welcome was welcoming enough. Renara answered your questions about the zombie sailors essentially with more questions by telling you about multiple mysterious shipwrecks that seem to have been worsening over the years. And you've kindly or bravely or stupidly or some combination of the above agreed to go and have a look at one of those tomorrow. And I believe that you've settled down for the night in the temple to rest at Dragon's Rest. But it's been a couple of episodes since we spoke with Hobbs. So let's shift our attention back to the boat for a while. Hobbs, you stretch, waking up from a dream in which you're back at home in your favourite spot where the morning sun filters through the leaves outside the window. But you almost fall out of the crate you're in as a wave rocks the boat. And a sailor nearby announces, well, Mr. Hero Cat, did you have a nice nap?
I missed the bit about the zombie sailors. Is this one a zombie?
No, you're still in your ship with your normal sailors at the moment. You missed the zombie sailors because you slept through it. So essentially the agreement was that the ship was going to drop all 4 of you at Stormwreck Isle, and you'd fallen asleep when it was time to disembark the boat. One of the sailors had tried to wake you, but in that sort of sleepy cat haze, you kind of swiped at him, so they decided not to. They took your 3 sailing companions and took them to the beach at Dragon's Rest and dropped them off. And they did say to them that if they made it back to the boat and you'd woken up, that they would bring you across. And they'd mentioned to your friends that otherwise you might get dropped back on the return journey.
Okie dokie.
So you don't need to worry about the zombies. You actually don't know anything about them yet.
Okay. Well, I'll scratch luxuriously and inquire about where the heck everyone is and where the heck am I?
The sailor will laugh and he'll say, well, clearly you're exactly where you were when you fell asleep. You're in the ship, in that crate.
Well,
Your friends, we dropped them off. We dropped them off at the island like we said we would, but gosh, that was way early this morning and it's almost nighttime now. You didn't seem to want us to wake you up. Were you in a particular hurry to get to the island?
Oh, I wouldn't mind getting there. It sounded fun. So where, pray tell, are we now?
Oh, well, we're however many hours that was north of Stormwreck Isle. We've got a few days journey ahead of us to where we're headed, dropping off our supplies, and then we would be headed back past this way on our way back down to the harbour where we picked you up. If you, you could hang around on the boat and we could probably drop you off on the way back, or look, the crew's got a soft spot for you after you got rid of that Merrow. So if you wanted to go and ask the captain, she'd probably turn the ship around if you wanted to go back now.
Oh, thank you kindly. I shall take you up on that offer and ask the captain if they would very kindly take me back, as I feel I should be with my comrades.
Well, then as you head above deck to find the captain, you'll also find that there's a group of sailors sitting around having a bit of a rest break, and they've got their musical instruments out, and someone's made up a new sea shanty while you've been asleep.
Oh, I do love a good sea shanty. I shall potter over and...
Let's try playing it in here.
It started one night with a crash and a roar. A beast from the depths came up from the floor, but nary a thought nor a word to be said. Hobbs raised his bow and filled it with lead. Oh, Hobbs the bold, with claws so keen, quick on the draw, but slow to be seen. A Merrow he slew and feasted with glee, and slept through the port back out to sea. Hauled up the beast all slimy and torn. Hobbs licked his lips for a feast was born. He carved up the tail and gulped down the rest, and washed it all down with milk at his chest. Oh, Hobbs the bold, with claws so keen, quick on the draw, but slow to be seen. A Merrow he slew, then feasted with glee, and slept through the port back out to sea. The ship reached the shore, the gangplank was late, but where was our oak still deep in the shade? He curled in his bark with dreams full of fish, and missed all his plans, what a foolish dish! Oh, Hobbs the bold, with claws so keen, quick on the draw, but slow to be seen. A Merrow he slew, then feasted in glee, and slept through the port back out to sea. So now we sail on across the waves once again, with Hobbs still aboard, much to his chagrin. A lesson he's learned, though he grumbles and cries. Shoot first if you must, but open your eyes. Oh, Hobbs the bold, with claws so keen, quick on the draw, but slow to be seen. A Merrow he slew, then feasted in glee, and slept through the port back out to sea.
Well done. Love it. Thanks, Sean. Anyway, I'm sure you got distracted listening to that on your way back up to see the captain.
I did have a nice jig to it.
But you can approach the captain when you're ready and... make your case.
Oh, kind captain, thank you so much for conveying us. And I do apologize for missing my stop. I would very much like to reunite with my compatriots on Stormwreck Isle, and I was wondering if there was perchance any way that I could be dropped back at the island.
You do realize we've been sailing for hours.
I have lost all sense of time and direction. how far are we, or when would we come back this way?
Well, with another 3 days journey to where we're intended to go, probably 2 to 3 days in port while we're there and about 3 days back, assuming the weather holds and is favorable to us. I mean, obviously, if it's not, it could be a lot longer than that. I mean,
do I have any
you've seen the
things I can
storm.
do?
You could just roll for persuasion if you wanted to.
Yeah. Can I try that?
Sure.
How do I do that? Where's the thingy? Where's my thingy?
Yes, with your thingy.
I'm trying to find my thingy. Where's my dice thingy? Oh, it was a while since I've... Oh, there we go. Press the thingy. And is it a D20?
Yes,
that I
with
use?
your...
Yep.
You should just be able to...
Can I
So
click
yeah,
on
off your character sheet
persuasion.
under skills, you should have a persuasion skill.
Yeah.
Oh, where?
Because otherwise we have to add your modifier.
Yeah. There it is.
So,
We
did I do something? Oh, I already hit things.
Rolling twice with advantage?
What? I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, well, look, the good news is she rolled really low, so any of those scores worked.
Huzzah!
And she says, you know, it would be... Don't think I've ever turned around for a passenger before, to be honest. Usually we'd say this is the way of the sea. You missed your stop, you deal with it, you make other plans. And I don't love the look of turning back around into that weather, but something about the way my crew feels about you guys having flown that Merrow. If you want to go back, we'll take you back.
Much appreciated. And my gratitude to you and your crew.
And she sort of sighs and she goes, oh, well, I guess I better go grab the crew and get things moving to turn this ship around. Looking at the wind, probably 6 to 8 hours to get back to where we need to be. We'll be there early morning, but you missed it before. We actually had to stop at the mouth of the bay and take your friends ashore via a rowboat. In order to do that, we will have to wait for light. So it'll be the morning before you get there.
I am most appreciative of your efforts. Is there anything I can do to help?
There are always tasks that can be done on the ship. We can get you in repairing some of the storm damage from earlier if you think you could help, or there's always working in the scullery. What skills do you have?
What skills do I have? Don't think I'm much of a cook, so maybe I'll try
from fighting Merrows, but obviously I do hope that no more of those will turn up.
Well, I think the baker is not with us, so I think I'll be probably best served helping with repairing damage.
Sure, I'll get you in with the people that you can help.
Excellent.
And so she'll head off and she'll explain to the crew that we're headed back, and there'll be a mix of some grumbling because not everyone's going to be happy about it, especially given they can see the weather. But also there will be plenty of sailors who are actually quite happy to help you out, and especially once they realize that you're prepared to get stuck in and do some help, and they'll give you some instructions on how to help with repairs, and they'll like the fact that you're actually joining in and helping, and they'll change the sails and the ship will turn around and start making its way back towards the island. We'll pause with you for a moment and just return to... Actually, no, we won't, because Thorne's not with us. No, we'll leave that on for now. I was going to say we'd return to Thorne, but he is fast asleep in the temple still. You guys sleep a lot. So we might fast forward as such to somewhere around the next morning. And we'll start back on the island where Erowyn and Echofire can wake up in the temple. And I don't know if you wanted to do anything in particular in terms of talking to Renara or anyone else before you head out this morning. You certainly didn't get instructions last night about where you needed to go. So you might want to talk to someone for that sort of instruction.
Erowyn probably awoke pretty early. Used to being an early riser. So at the first crack of light, I suspect she would have gotten up. And I know that she was pretty interested in the gardening and the farming that they were doing. So she probably would be browsing interestedly through the various garden beds and things that line the little settlement of Dragon's Rest, looking for things that are interesting or unusual or things that don't fit in, and picking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and just generally playing with the plants. And that's probably where you'll find her.
So if she's out looking in the gardens early in the morning, she will bump into Tarek, who was
He's the human.
He was the human
gardener, horticultural guy.
Yeah, that one. So he was a sort of middle-aged human, pale-skinned but tanned and very freckled from his time in the sun, with auburn hair and a greying beard and grey-blue eyes, and there are some faded tattoos on the bits of skin, both in his neck and his ankles and wrists, that you can see coming around his clothes. And he'll find you in his garden, and he'll be quite friendly, and he'll say, can I help you, miss? Is there anything you were looking for?
I'm just interested to see what kinds of things grow well here and what kinds of plants you guys think are useful and important, and hoping to restock my own sort of herbalism kit on account of using bits and pieces of it, and always interested to learn about new things I haven't seen before.
He's one of those sorts of people that when you actually show an interest in his special interest, he's going to get quite excited. He'll remain sort of a gentle, fairly reserved, softly spoken person, but he'll be very excited to see that you're interested in what he likes, and he'll want to know, you must tell me which of your herbs you've used up, and I can let you know whether or not I've got them. And if I don't have them, I mean, honestly, most of them have acceptable replacements, and I'm sure I can help you find things. And we might have things here that you haven't used before. Would you like me to show you around my garden?
Erowyn would love that. And so they can spend some time wandering around, and she can regale him of the things that she's used recently or she's run out of or wasn't able to get before she left home, and see if he's got any of it to spare.
He'll find some that you're looking for, and he's got a fairly well-stocked garden, so he'll be able to help you restock certain things, and he might, as I say, be able to find you alternatives for things that you are missing. And he'll ask you, sorry?
I was going to say, do I notice anything particularly unusual in the gardens? Things that would be rare or have particular use in arcane rituals or as poisons, or things that I guess wouldn't make sense in a little town garden?
Nothing that doesn't make sense. There's definitely a good collection of options, and some things could be used for poisons or arcane options, but I think you have enough knowledge of them to know that merely having, like, nothing is so rare and so specific that having it here is weird. And if there are any that you might have had a momentary question about, if you did question him, he'd be able to give you a very good answer of, well, we use this for this potion, or this is needed by that person doing that thing. Like, he's actually got quite good answers for them. He does ask you, though, if you've ever collected mushrooms from myconids to make your potions of healing.
At home, we certainly did used lots of different mushrooms. Home is, I guess, the forests near Neverwinter, the Neverwood, and we would be familiar with lots of different mushrooms. Not some myconids, but not commonly. Lots of the mushrooms were free growing, but yeah, very familiar with different kinds. Why? What's?
Oh, we have sea caves down on the south side of the island, and I had a very good relationship with the myconids there. They have the rarer heart-cap mushrooms, and I used to visit them quite frequently to get those. They make wonderful potions of healing. But something's changed, and I don't really know what's gone. I don't really know what's happening down there. There's a guardian at the door of the caves now, and they won't let me in. He's turned me away anytime I've tried to go in, and I'm really not sure what's happening, and I'm quite worried about them. I don't know, maybe I feel a little bit as though not everyone else here understands why it's so important. But
that's an important thing to be able to access, and myconids are always kind of cool and a little bit weird and friendly, so I would love to meet them.
That's the thing. I'm
related
worried
to
about
the undead people that you've been dealing with?
I genuinely don't know. I mean, the zombies have been a problem for a while. Look, I'll be honest, I get a bit distracted with my gardening, and I'm not so great with the timelines, so I couldn't tell you what happened first, but I'm very keen to sort of reestablish proper contact with them. I mean, I clearly need the supply of the heart-cap mushrooms, but also I'm worried about them. They've never been like this before.
What kind of guardian?
Oh, it's a fungal octopus. It's
cool.
It's 8-legged, and it's like an octopus monster covered in fungus.
Okay. All right. That sounds interesting. Well, I
I
mean,
haven't seen one of those before either.
no. Well, that doesn't sound like something many people have seen. That sounds pretty cool. Um,
It's actually
I
quite
will.
fearsome. I don't think cool is
Okay.
what I'd call
Not
it.
not exciting and friendly. Okay. Oh, I don't know.
No,
I have a way with animals. We'll see.
not
Um,
exciting and friendly for me. Perhaps it
okay.
could be for you.
Fair. I guess Renara had asked us to look into the shipwrecks, but I will talk to Echofire and Thorne when they awaken and see if they want to tackle this before or after that. When's the best time of day to go? There's sea caves, you said. Is there a time of day where the tide is best?
Yeah, look, I mean it is tidal. The entrance is very much tidal, but whether or not the time of day matters depends on your preferences for getting in, I guess. I mean, at high tide, which is sort of look, our tides around this island are in like a 6 hourly roughly schedule. So sort of midnight to sunrise ish is low tide, and then sunrise to noon will be high tide. But then noon to sunset will be low again, and then sunset to midnight will be high tide. So in the high tide times, look, the opening area of it is actually flooded, but you can swim in, or even I you could float a little boat in. You know, I would usually just swim if I was doing that. But at low tide, there's actually a pathway along the base of the cliffs that goes in, and it's a good path. That's easy to walk.
Okay. All right. Well, Erowyn files all of that information away, and I guess we'll talk about it with the rest of the party. And before she sort of, I guess, wanders away just to potter amongst the plants, she mutters a few words and reaches into her pocket and pulls out a couple of berries and offers them to him and says, I haven't seen these growing in your garden, and perhaps you can get these to take, and they're quite a good little health snack, quite good in a smoothie. And she casts good berry and gives him a handful of the good berries.
He looks at them with awe, and he says, "Oh, they look vaguely familiar, but no, they're not one I've had before at all. Are they good to eat just as they are?" And he sort of
They
gestures.
can be eaten just as they are, and they can they can be used in all kinds of ways. But they have natural healing properties. They're one of nature's new power foods. They're up there with kale and other things that you probably have heard of in your in the local news.
Kale. Yes, very pretty flowers on a kale plant. Very pretty flowers. And he pops one of your good berries in his mouth and chews away at it and comments on how lovely it is. He says, if you do decide that you could go and visit my myconids, do come back and let me know. We'll have to talk about how you want to get to the caves, and I can give you some scraps and stuff to take as a peace offering.
Okay. And Erowyn sort of meanders away airily to wander around and take in what he's shown her.
Wonderful. Carmel. You wake up in your temple. Is there anything that you would want to do this morning? Any conversations that you'd like to have?
So Echofire wakes up after having repeated dreams about making bombs out of our poop. So she has decided today's mission is to find the ingredients for the poop bombs. She wakes up and she has a little walk around looking for Thorne and Erowyn. She finds Thorne surrounded by some suspicious looking brownies and decides to just leave him. And she walks down in search of Erowyn now.
So you guys can catch up with each other and have a bit of a conversation about what's happening next.
Right. Erowyn, what have you heard anything this morning?
No, not really. Not about the shipwrecks. I haven't seen Thorne yet. But I've just been wondering.
Thorne isn't joining us today.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm less enthused then about tackling a ship full of undead things. Just the two of us. That might be a bit challenging on account of nearly dying last time.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, we might hold off. The garden keeper was telling me about another problem that they're having. He's used to access heart cap mushrooms, which are quite tasty, but also quite useful in brewing health potions. And he used to harvest them from a sea cave, from a colony of myconids, of living mushroom people. And recently he's not been able to get in there because of a octopus fungus monster, is what he described it as. I don't know if that's more or less scary than a boat full of undead people, but I don't know. Octopus, they're kind of cool. Fungus is kind of cool. Octopus fungus monster must be kind of cool. Maybe. And
sounds like
there seems to be like an unhealthy excitement behind her eyes when she's talking about bizarre monsters. But I don't know if we can tackle that either.
Yeah, I feel like we should probably wait.
Or maybe we can talk to Renara and get more information about the shipwreck.
That sounds good.
And I can come back to the mushrooms. Sounds like if we don't deal with the shipwreck, there'll be more zombie sailors to deal with. So I guess we go and find Renara.
Yeah, let's do that.
This morning, if you're searching for Renara, you would actually find her in the library.
Okay.
We probably check the temple first, but backtrack to the library. And as we walk past, we see Thorne's dozing form, and
Thorne's dozing in the kitchen, still surrounded by interesting-looking
pastries,
brownies.
Okay. Erowyn poses him suggestively.
Do either of you even check that he's breathing? No, you pose him suggestively. Great. Yep, cool. How old are you again, Erowyn?
She's a teenager.
Yeah, true. That's what they do, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
He is breathing though when she poses him. He's not like cold and grey.
Cool. That's a really good start. She looks up from a book that she's reading as the two of you enter the library. Almost as though she expected you to walk in, which you probably wouldn't be too surprised about, given that, you know, she is the elder here and you clearly did say that you would do something to help her out this morning, and you're obviously going to need instructions. But she smiles warmly and she says, "How did you sleep? I believe your friend is still sleeping."
Very well.
It's quite peaceful here, except for the zombies.
It is very much my aim to have this as restful as its name would suggest, to be a place of peace, a place where people might choose the right paths. And yes, the zombies are a problem, disturbing my peace and everyone else's peace. And without peace of their own, because we know that that's somehow linked to where they come from initially. I mean, if they're undead, then they're dead and yet not at peace. Are you still willing to help us out here?
Definitely. Tell us more.
Look, it's been rough on the north coast of the Isle for centuries. There was a violent death of a gold dragon, and many shipwrecks have occurred in that area. And we have just lost Erowyn. Shall we give Erowyn a moment and see if we get Erowyn back?
Yeah. They're still in Roll20. Like the box.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Welcome back.
Okay.
Um,
I got the north side of the island is bad, and then it died.
Oh, good. She was just telling you that on the north side of the Isle, there'd been a very violent death of a gold dragon centuries ago. And ever since then, the rocks up through that area have been strewn with bones, so many shipwrecks. But there was one particular shipwreck that has changed things. We never had zombies before about 40 years ago. There's a ship called the Compass Rose. It was carrying passengers that were coming here to the cloister, and it was wrecked up on that shoal. Tragedy, yes, but for all intents and purposes, like so many ships before it, I'm not sure exactly what it was about that shipwreck that was different. But to our absolute horror, the sailors who drowned and some of the passengers who drowned on that ship found their way ashore as zombies. That it had never happened before, ever, for us. And then ever since that particular ship, with every new shipwreck, we get a fresh wave of zombies. And I mean, look, usually the wrecks are rare enough. You know, I said that's an area with a lot of wrecks, and over the years it's a lot of wrecks, but it's not like they usually happen all the time. But just recently, there've been even more wrecks happening than usual. And so I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know what was so different about 40 years ago when the Compass Rose was wrecked. I don't know why those sailors became zombies, and I don't know why every wreck since has led to zombies, and I don't know why so many more ships are now being wrecked up on that shoal. And I guess what I'm thinking is if you're willing to go up there and check it out, the wreck of the Compass Rose, I feel like maybe there could be information there that might hold some answers for us.
Has anyone ventured up there before and knows the lay of the land or what might be faced?
I believe that it's a while back and I don't remember it too well, but we did send a scouting party soon after the shipwreck of the Compass Rose, 40 odd years ago, as we always used to see if there were any survivors. No survivors were found. They didn't try to go onto the ship. It was unsafe at the time. When the ship's first wrecked, it's not something that you can explore. No one's been back since, to the best of my knowledge.
Is Renara's talking like she was there 40 years ago? Is that?
She's talking like she
She's
was
a
there
human
40 years
appearing.
ago.
She's a human appearing woman.
She's an old human.
Okay.
I mean, she did have white hair and wrinkled face,
Okay.
and
Yep.
it's not feasible.
Yeah. Okay. Good island weather and good island diet. Lots of heart cap mushrooms. Okay.
Lots of
Are any
mushrooms.
members of the scout party still around?
And you can sort of see her running. You can almost see her thinking. She's like running through names in her head, and she's like, "No, I'm probably the only one here who remembers it now."
Okay. Well, at the moment, until Thorne awakens, I don't know that we want to go on an adventure far away. But we certainly need to. We'll certainly take care of that for you as soon as we can.
I mean, we could certainly start getting you a rowboat ready.
Yeah.
To head up there. It's about 2.5 miles up the shoals. It'd probably take you about an hour 40, 2 hours to row.
Okay. Tarek asked this morning if I would investigate his myconids in the sea caves.
Oh yes,
Do
he's
you
quite
think that
worried
that's
about
more
them.
or less pressing than the shipwreck?
I mean, it depends on how you define pressing. I'm sure that if you asked him the same question, he would tell you that his myconids are definitely the most pressing issue. He's quite concerned about them. And to be fair, his heart cap mushrooms are important. I do worry. I'll admit I do worry with the increasing number of shipwrecks we're having when the next one will be. You know, when I'm aware that there is a ship passing, I hold my breath almost. And, you know, you guys made it past okay, and for that I am grateful. But who knows when the next ship will come past.
Not on a ship coming back soon. Maybe, yeah, okay.
Sorry, who's Hobbs?
Hobbs is our tabaxi friend who was supposed to join us, and he was asleep when the ship left. But he's very brave, and he's quite a good fighter. So I think he'll be very useful to trying to deal with some of these problems that you've been having. But I don't know when they're due to be back.
You guys sleep a lot.
Teenager. Yeah. Angsty teenager. Erowyn will look at Echofire, who has been quiet to this, and I guess try to see what she's thinking and what we should do, because Erowyn doesn't know.
I think we should stay here for today. Maybe we can start getting the boat ready and also have a look around if there's any supplies or anything that we could take with us.
You're certainly welcome to rest here. And she sort of looks between the two, like, you know, glances at each of you one after the other, and in a way that's almost knowing. And she says, and besides, as much as we would appreciate your help with our causes, you've each come here for reasons of your own.
True.
Which we may be able to help with. Have we momentarily lost Sean again?
No, I think I'm here, but it does.
You're just
did drop in and
Yep.
out. It did drop in and out quickly for a second, and then I was trying to work out if everyone was just quiet or it was me.
No, I think we were trying to work out whether or not we still had you.
Yep. There. No, I'm here. I'll try and just drop the quality down and see if that does anything for me.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
So are we building a boat or are we fixing a boat?
Oh, no. You can take the rowboat that we have tethered down at the beach. But, you know, we'll get it ready for you. We'll send a couple of the kobolds down to check it, and, you know, you always check the safety before you head back out. Make sure the oars are there. And you might want. I don't know what supplies you'd like. You know, you'll need to take some food with you in case of snacks, but that we can definitely help with.
We recently learnt the recipe for some bird poo bombs. Do you happen to have any of those ingredients?
Bird poo bombs. Now,
The
it
little
is not
excitable
often.
fellow.
It is not often that someone surprises me, but this is something I've not heard of. What is a bird poo bomb?
Your little excitable tinkerer friend. He was regaling us with ways that the guano from my owl friend could be weaponized, and I think Echofire was very excited about making owl poo weapons.
Mila, she does like making funny things. It would be her. I mean,
I think it was
look,
sulfur that we needed.
if anyone would know how to do it, it would be Mila. And honestly, if anyone would know where to get what you needed, it would be Mila.
Perfect. Right. We'll go find Mila. Is she around today?
Definitely. You'd usually find her, look, maybe experimenting. She's got a lot of stuff down there in her cell. She's usually down there playing around with things, making things, blowing things up.
Nice. All right. We might head down there then.
Erowyn just meanders down behind you, and we go and find our kobold tinkerer.
She is. Hold on, just let me find her. She should be that one. For some reason today, even I don't have the capacity to move her. For some reason, I don't have the capacity to move her today, but she is that one right there, standing at the entrance to her cell, and her cell is the one that's always a little bit messy because it's full of things that she thinks might be useful, full of half-done experiments, half-made, just new ideas that she's had, stuff she's trying to invent, half-made.
Hi. How's your morning going?
Oh, welcome back. Yes, it's like most mornings. I'm half the time I can't remember what I plan to do, but we're sort of getting there.
You working
How's
on
yours?
anything at the moment? Yeah, it's been
I'm working on remembering what I was meant to be working on.
I see. Can we help
I
you?
think that you were working on weaponizing owl poo.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we were talking about that, weren't we?
We brought you some owl poo.
Now, where did I put? We needed charcoal and we needed sulfur. The first thing we need to do is we need to come up with a way to get the saltpeter out of the guano. You have the owl poo, yes?
So
you said
much
owl
owl poo.
poo.
And And Erowyn produces
So we'd have
Thorne's
to,
water skin that she's
yes.
been filling
So
with
we need
guano.
to work out. So we need to get the owl poo. That's going to be our source of potassium nitrate. Then we need some sulfur and we need some charcoal, and we just need to mix it together in the right quantities. And that should get you gunpowder. Now, look, the thing is going to be getting the right quantities, because I think if we were going to make it out of bat poo, I mean, it would take us months to extract the potassium nitrate properly. So instead of extracting it properly, we could just mix it in. But that's going to mean that we're not going to know exactly what the right amounts of everything are. So it could be a bit explosive, but I mean, that's what you wanted, right? You wanted
Definitely.
explosions, right? I like explosions.
We love explosions.
So we're going to need some charcoal, which you'd be able to find. I mean, you'd be able to find charcoal in the ovens, in the stoves, in the kitchen. We're going to have to grind that down. And we're going to need some sulfur. I reckon you'd probably be able to get some sulfur from Tarek, because I know that they sometimes use it. Tarek sometimes uses it to acidify his soil. So if anyone's going to have sulfur, that would be Tarek. So if you wanted to get some charcoal from the kitchen and see if Tarek has any sulfur from you, and then come back here with those and some bat poo. Not bat poo. What did you say it was? Owl poo. Bat poo, owl poo. Yeah, look, it should be the same diff.
All right. Erowyn, should we go see Tarek first?
Yeah, he'll want to talk to you about the fungus octopus monster.
All right.
But yeah, he may have some sulfur. I didn't remember to ask him this morning.
All right.
So we meander down and try and find Tarek.
Tarek will look quite excited when he sees you coming back, Erowyn, with somebody else. And he'll be like, oh, have you found someone to go and see the myconids with you?
We've talked about it, and we're just waiting for our third to wake up. But Renara's got some of the kobolds working on a rowboat for us, so that we can tackle that for you. Interesting question. Do you have any sulfur?
Oh, yes, we use it to acidify the soil. What's that got to do with myconids?
Well, one of the kobolds had an idea that we could weaponize my owl's droppings, and that might be helpful in fighting this octopus guardian that you were talking about, if I can't convince it to be friendly.
That sounds quite violent, but I'm sure you know what you're talking about. How much?
I'd rather not explode the octopus, but we'd like to have our options open.
You will be careful not to hurt the actual myconids, won't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I
promise.
can't wait to hang out with those little guys.
Good. How much do you need?
I don't remember. And she at this Pharaoh turns at this point to Echofire and is like gesturing like a little bit, a lot, like.
I mean, it comes in large sacks, so
I guess.
All right. Perhaps we'll take one sack each then. For now.
Sack each. Wow. Okay. Yep.
How much are we blowing up? I mean, I know I said he was a
We
big
can get to the
octopus, but
we
he's
can
not
get to the
that big an
caves. Yeah, we're going to get to the caves from the top. We might just take a sack and
All right.
I mean, you can always
we-
come back. You can always
we-
come back for more.
we'll carry
Yeah.
the sack together, and by together, I mean that Erowyn is carrying about 5% of the weight, and Echofire is carrying about 95% of the sack back to the Tinkerer's room.
Echofire looks at her teenage companion and shakes her head and just takes the whole bag herself and starts walking off.
Erowyn rolls her eyes.
You get back down to the cell. You get back down to the cell, and Mila looks at you, and her eyes widen, and her jaw drops, and she says, "How much poop did your owl make? This is going to be a lot of explosive."
Well, I have I have Thorne's water skin that I filled up, but that was just yesterday's guano. So we could make a lot.
We have to get the
okay,
ratio
I guess
right.
we'll start with a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit of experimentation.
Yeah. I mean, the sulfur is usually the smallest component. I mean, I roughly do about, look, it's about 3/4 the guano, and then for that remaining quarter, just over half of it would be charcoal, and just under half of it would be the sulfur, roughly. Like, 15% charcoal, 10% sulfur, maybe up to 12% sulfur. So it's just I'm looking at those sacks and thinking that you guys are wanting to make enough powder to put a hole in the island. Could be fun though, as long as we don't get blown up with it.
Experimentation. That would be fun.
Oh, I like the way you think. Now, charcoal.
We'll go grab you that charcoal. Yeah. Right, Erowyn, let's go.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna make you work too hard for the charcoal bit. So you can go up to the kitchen and also just behind the kitchen and find plenty of charcoal that you can help yourself to.
Perfect. We should check on
And a
Thorne
little
while we're there.
charcoal mustache on Thorne as we go past.
Oh dear.
Okay, so we've assembled all of these bits. Let me go back to see Milo.
Right. So what we're going to need to do is you're going to have to grind it all down quite a bit. I've got some large sort of mortar and pestle type things in my cell which you could use. And then, as I say, we want about 3/4 of it to be the guano, roughly. And then sort of almost equal parts sulfur and charcoal, but a bit more charcoal. And essentially what we need to do is we need to grind it all together very carefully so that we don't blow ourselves up. We can put a little bit of water in it while we're grinding it up, just to, dampen the likelihood of it blowing up. But keep in mind that once it starts to dry out, you've got to be very, very careful.
Okay, so we I guess that's how Day's Arts and Crafts set out for us.
It is. I'm going to ask you guys each to make me a roll. You may choose something that you think is appropriate for this, depending on what your individual talents are, along the lines of something like dexterity or survival. for how well and how safely you make the guano.
Come on. There you go.
What about performance? What's that mean?
That's not just a performance, though.
Alright.
It's a very much a legitimate, are you doing this properly? Not just do you look like you're doing this properly?
Oh, I see. Hmm. Did it? Oh no, it didn't. I did it.
While Echofire is carefully preparing her explosive, I'm going to just druid craft like a tiny little bang sound just over her shoulder.
Oh, that's cruel.
Wow.
Oh, that is so cruel. So look, I am taking note of the roles that you've just given me, which were a 19 dexterity for Echofire and a 13 survival for Erowyn. I'm just going to write that down because if I don't write it down right now, my ADHD will forget it. And you will find out next week what those roles actually meant tonight. And because for now, we're actually going to jump back to Hobbs for a moment before we bring this evening's episode to a pause whilst we're waiting for your other friend to wake up. So Hobbs gets stuck into helping with repairing the ship, and the ship, as I said, turns around and heads back towards Stormwreck Isle during the night. So we're a little bit out of timeline here. Obviously, this is jumping backwards a little bit to what's been happening during the night while you guys were asleep. And unfortunately, the Carrack does sail back into the storm, right into the big storm. There's rain lashing at the deck and the waves are surging against the hull and lightning's flickering across the skies. And it gets to the point where you're starting to see sort of in those lightning flashes, glimpses of jagged rocks jutting out from the sea like broken teeth. And the ship's crew is starting to struggle to keep control of the ship. This is actually worse than the storm that you sailed through to get to Stormwreck Isle in the first place. And, the captain sort of frantically barking orders and everyone's kind of starting to panic. And I'm just wondering how Hobbs is feeling at this point.
Oh, I'm getting quite concerned. Cat don't really like swimming and water, and I also don't want to jeopardize the crew. They've been very, very kind. So I think I should see if I can catch the captain and ask her what her thoughts are, and and if it is too dangerous, then I'm not going to push it. So
from where you try to make your way back up on deck, the captain is sort of at the opposite end of the deck, and so it will actually take you some effort in the driving rain and the heavy wind to sort of pass from one side of the deck to the other. It's no longer a simple stroll along the deck, and you'll find yourself having to duck quickly as one of the sails sort of gets a bit loose and swings past you and narrowly misses your head. And you've almost made it back to the captain when, cutting through the howl of the wind and the crashing surf, a voice rises. It is a song. It is low and mournful at first, but it seems to grow in strength, and it drifts over the water like a mist weaving through the storm. And it's a melody that is both sorrowful and sweet at the same time. And it's not merely the melody, it has lyrics as well. It speaks of safe harbors. It speaks of warm fires. It speaks of loved ones waiting at home. And as you look around you, the effect is almost instantaneous. Sailors pause mid-task. Their grips slacken on the ropes that they're meant to be holding. Even the captain, her voice falters. You almost feel as though you could almost see eyes glazing over. It's like they're not under control of themselves anymore. And one by one, they turn towards the sound, towards the voice. And even you yourself feel yourself being lured, as it were. Can you make a wisdom saving throw for me, please?
Yeah.
Damn, that was close. You almost feel transfixed. It's almost like the most powerful lullaby you've ever heard. It has this sort of draw to it that you just want. You want to follow it. You want to find the source. But you sort of have a sudden moment where you sort of shake yourself free of it a little bit and sort of go, what am I thinking right now? And you're able just to shake off that compulsion. But there's still this sort of melody going around your brain, almost like a half-remembered dream that's making you feel a bit sort of drugged. And you look over around it at the other sailors, the captain, the helmsman, the first mate on deck right now, and you can see that there's a mix of reactions happening. You can see that some of the sailors really are just slowly moving themselves towards where the sound is coming from. And you can see that some of the sailors appear to be like you, sort of just managing to, shake it off and stay vaguely in control of themselves. If you look towards the wheel, you'll notice that the helmsman is standing slack-jawed, clearly taken in by the song, and his hands are slipping off the tiller and the ship starts to drift. And that's where we're going to leave tonight.
Oh. I was going to go bite him.
Oh, I kind of want to let you go bite him.
How exciting.
I mean, I'm not sure it's exciting at the moment. It kind of sounds scary. But if you're excited, I love this. I love this. So one person's excited about like a fungus octopus. The other person's excited about a ship that's about to crash. This is great.
Well, I gotta get to land. I want to meet that fungus octopus too.
Well,
yeah, I reckon he's probably a pretty cool guy. He's probably just misunderstood.
He probably
Oh,
is.
fun to stab.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can eat him the same way that you can eat the marrow.
Calamari.
I'm fairly certain that there are not game mechanics already in the book for like what happens if they want to eat the fungus octopus. But don't worry, we'll come up with something.
I mean, dude's got an infernal oven. I'm pretty sure we can like bake it. It'll be fine.
Baked octopus. Nice.
Well, maybe next week we get the whole party together.
Hopefully next week we get the whole party together and we can find out what is happening to Hobbs and the Carrick. We can find out whether or not you two successfully make gunpowder and whether or not you two injure yourselves in the process of making gunpowder. And we can wake we can wake Thorne up with possibly a little bit of a hangover from his brownies, and you guys can decide if you want to go check out the wreck or if you want to go check out the Myconids.
Sounds like a
good.
plan, and hopefully by then the weather will be friendlier.
Hopefully at least the real life weather will be friendlier. I'm not sure if the one around Stormwreck Isle will be, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
All good.
All right. Thanks, gang.
Well, thanks so much.
See you next Sunday.
Night.
Bye.
Gather round adventurers, it's time for a quest. Stories of magic and dragons at rest. Our dice are ready, let's roll with zest. Welcome to our table, you're our honored guest.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Roll for Initiative, a real play D&D podcast. Today we are
So
it's essentially I'm using my wild shape to cast Find.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Monsters and Menace, a real play Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Last defeating the beast, they were able to escape the death use of the Featherfall spell. They were
maps unfolding, secrets unveil. Every step an epic tale. Wands at the ready, swords in hand. In a realm of wonders you'll understand. Welcome to our table where legends are born. Heroes and villains in worlds reborn. Join our journey with a cheerful heart. Together we conquer, together we start. With laughter and friendship, our bonds grow tight. Underneath starry skies or candlelight. Through dungeons deep in skies so